What's up? My name's Jackson. I've never watched soccer before. I'm watching every single game in the World Cup. And this morning, I will be predicting the games of today in the World Cup. And remember, I only have watched one game from each of these teams. I don't know that much about the teams besides what I learned from each of those games. I'm not doing research on the side. So I'm just going to come in and predict. I'll do my best, but they might not all be right. They might not, but it's just fun for me, and it's fun for you to hear, some stupid, terrible, wrong predictions. So today's games are going to be Norway versus France, Senegal versus Iraq in Group I. In Group H, we got Cabo Verde versus Saudi Arabia and Uruguay versus Spain. And then in Group G, finishing out the day, we have New Zealand and Belgium, and then we have Egypt versus Iran. So, starting at the top of the day, Norway versus France. This is a really big game because, as I've learned, both Norway and France have stars on their team. Norway has Haaland, France has Mbappe. And who's going to win? I know Haaland said in a post-game interview, he said, "We're not going to win against France." But he probably was just saying that to let their guards down and keep his expectations low so that he could work hard to beat them. Mbappe is very fun. He's probably my favorite star I've seen so far. But Holland is very strong and aggressive and giant. And so, the Vikings versus the Frenchmen is an age-old war also. So we'll see what happens there. But that being said, if Holland really isn't confident, if Norway is not confident, I think France is gonna wipe them away. I think France plays a little bit more with that Mbappe first strategy than Norway plays with Holland, at least from what I've seen, and that could work in their favor or against them, but we shall see. I don't know. Have either of these teams clinched the knockout? Let's see. Yes, they're both in knockout rounds already. But it looks like Norway is in second place to France. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go with France at this point because I like Mbappe a little bit more than Holland, and I feel like he's got such a great energy, but Holland does too, and I think either one of them could do really good tomorrow. Either, yeah. So Norway or France, I'm gonna pick France, and I'm gonna say the score is 4-3. Is that crazy? I think that they're both gonna score a lot of goals, and it'll kind of be a shootout kind of game. I'm hoping that because that would be fun. That would be so exciting. But if it's 0-0 or 1-0, I would also not be surprised. But we will have to wait and see. The other game in Group I is Senegal versus Iraq, and I remember caring more about Senegal than Iraq. So I'm gonna pick Senegal. I really don't remember too much about these teams. I'm gonna say Senegal because I feel like Iraq let me down last week. Yeah, I think Iraq did let me down. So I'm gonna pick Senegal and I'm gonna say Senegal goes over 2-0. But I really have no frame of reference for that. I barely remember either of those teams. I just remember Norway played one, France played the other. I barely remember who played who. So Senegal 2-0. Moving on. Group H, we got Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia. Now Cape Verde is getting a lot of attention because they played good at what or better than expected against Uruguay and Spain. And I think that is something to probably be noted because I'm pretty sure Spain is one of the favorites in this World Cup I'm hearing. So, I think that has to be noted. I remember Saudi Arabia had a rough time last game, if I'm not mistaken. If I just look really quickly here. Uh yeah, Saudi Arabia lost to Spain 4-0. So I mean, that's never good. And Cabo Verde tied Uruguay. So anyway, I'm gonna pick Cape Verde because I think it's so cool that, a little people that weren't supposed to win and make it through can make it through. And if they can beat Saudi Arabia, I think that means that they get into the knockouts. So I'm rooting for Cape Verde, and maybe they play really well. But on the other side of that, Saudi Arabia could kind of do what Turkey did tonight or last night, and play with that extra fire. But I am going to pick Cape Verde, and I am going to say Cape Verde wins 3-0. Moving on to Uruguay versus Spain, I feel like Spain's going to win. I feel like Spain is going to dog walk Uruguay because I feel like Spain is the best team in this group, and it's not even close. I know they have that guy, but I forget his name because I wasn't thinking about him when the game was happening, but they do have that guy. So I'm going to say it's another big win with Spain going over Uruguay 4-0. And I don't even think that's crazy because they just did that to Saudi Arabia last week. Then going into the last group, it's New Zealand versus Belgium and Egypt versus Iran. And last week, if you remember, we had Egypt beat New Zealand 3-1 and Belgium and Iran tied. And I was expecting more from Belgium. And I was also expecting more from New Zealand. I feel like maybe Belgium wins, but I don't have faith in that. So I'm going to say it's a tie. And I'm going to say it's a 2-2 tie because I really don't know about this one. Egypt versus Iran. Egypt is going to win. Egypt's going to kill Iran. Egypt's going to win 3-1. And it's not even going to be close. It's not going to feel close. Iran's going to be sitting on their butts the whole time. I'm telling you that right now. That's what I think. So yeah, those are my predictions for this today's games, and I hope that y'all have a great day, and I'll see you back here tonight for the breakdown. Definitely tomorrow night tonight with a co-host. All right, have a good day.